Hey everyone, it's Bethany, and I am going to be sharing how I'm going to monogram this cute little tumbler that I got. So I want to share a couple things right off the bat. Number one, if you've been following me for more than 5 seconds, you know that I love to monogram all the things. I love monograms, and I put them on just about everything. So my husband actually called me out on it. He was like, you must love these monograms because everything in our house is monogrammed. But I just do. I love them. So that's number one. Number two, I have a soft spot for drinkware. I love getting coffee cups and cute little tumblers. So if I find something that I love collecting them. I think they're so fun. And I thought this one was really cute for summer. I loved all the colors. One's a little bit more of a holograph look, and I just thought it was super, super cute. So I found this at Target. I'll try to link it for you if I can in the description box below, but I found this and I thought it would be really fun. So more importantly, besides the two things that you may or may not have known about me, I am going to be sharing 5 different fonts that I think make really good candidates for monograms. So if you are a lover of monograms like I am, I'm going to share 5 different fonts that you might want to take a look at when you are designing your next monogram, because sometimes it's hard to find fonts that make really good candidates. So I am going to pare it down to 5 that I think work really well and look visually really good with monograms. Other than that, we are going to be using the Cricut Joy to put a little monogram on this font, and I'm also going to, I grabbed my mat because while I'm using smart material, I might have a couple small pieces in here that I want to use that I'll place on a mat. That way I can use some scraps. So we'll see when we open this box. I keep my little scraps in here for my Cricut Joy stuff. And then we're going to use the Cricut Joy transfer tape. This is just the white permanent, and it looks like it's the glossy. And then I'm also using my weeding tool, and I'll also use a little scraper tool. I think that's it. Let's go ahead and hop into Design Space, and I'm going to share the 5 fonts that you might want to take into consideration when you are doing your next monogram. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space. I'm going to share 5 different fonts that I think are really good for monograms that look really visually nice. So I'm going to go over here to the text box. We're going to use the text box for all of them because we're using fonts. And I'm going to come up here and we are going to type in library. And it's actually called Library-2. It's this one right here. So this is Library 1, I guess, and then this is Library 2. So I'm going to select Library 2. This is a really good basic font. So with all capital letters, I'm going to type out my monogram, which is BDR. I'm going to bring this right up here. And then what I'm going to do is make this a little bit bigger. And right now, this is all one layer. This is also a double layer font. So if you turn this on, you have a layer underneath it, which is kind of fun too. But I don't really prefer that look, so I am going to just go ahead and delete that second layer. What I'm going to do is select everything and ungroup it. Then I'm going to take this middle D and I'm going to make it bigger just to make a traditional looking basic font just like that. Once I have that all aligned how I want it and it looks really nice to me, I'm going to select everything and I am going to attach them together, and that way it will cut just like this. So once you go to make it, it will cut in that same fashion. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make another one. So the next one I'm going to do is another basic looking font. It's going to look a little similar, but it is different. So I'm going to come up to my font. I'm going to type in Charter. And I'll select that. Again, with all capital letters, I'm going to say BDR. That is my monogram. And I will go ahead and make this bigger. I will come over and with it selected, I'll select Ungroup. And Ungroup just allows you to ungroup them into individual files here. And then I will make this middle one bigger, get it aligned how I'd like it, just like that. Select all of them and then attach them back together. And that's the second one. So very basic in the monogram look and very similar to this, but it does offer a different look as well. Okay, so another one that I like, if you want to do something a little bit more traditional with like cursive and a little bit more curvy, you can go to the text box, and this one is called Quarter Note. So I'm going to come up here to the little search engine and type in Quarter Note, and this will give you a really nice traditional cursive looking font. So again, my initials BDR, and when you're doing a monogram, it's traditional that you put your last name initial in the middle, but you can do it however you would prefer. So again, making that a little bit bigger. Again, lather, rinse, repeat. We're coming up to ungroup. We're going to make that middle initial a lot bigger. And then we can move these out a little bit. But this one's a really nice one if you want a nice cursive looking script monogram. I'm going to go ahead and attach all those back together, and that looks really nice. Okay, the next one I'm going to do, I'm going to come over to the text box, and to the font I will enter Fling. And this is another script or cursive looking monogram, so BDR. And then on this one, I did a couple different things. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to unlock it, and I made it a little bit longer just to kind of give it a little bit of length. I thought it looked a little squatty as it was, so I made this a little bit longer. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock that back up and make that a little bit bigger. I will come over to ungroup just like we've done with all of them. Grab that middle initial and make it a little bit bigger, and then just align these. Next. Okay, and then of course you could spend more time on making sure that these were all in alignment just how you want them. I'm just going through them quickly just so you guys can see really well what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is bring this down just a little bit, and then I will go ahead and attach those together. Okay, so the final one I want to show you is one that is not a Design Space font. So far we have been using only Design Space fonts, but the final one you can get online, and I got it, I believe, from dafont.com. You can Google it and see where else it's available as well, but it's called Monogrammos. So I'm going to go over to text, and I'm going to go to font, and I'm going to type in Monogrammos, and it is this one right here. So it's more of that circular font, but I'll show you in a second. This is the only one that you're not going to use all capitals on. So I have all lowercase BDR, and you'll notice that it makes it a little bit different right off the bat. So you have all of your B's, all of your D's, and all of your R's. Real quickly, I'll show you if I do another text box with the same font. If I do all capitals, this is how it will look. So it will do the inverse of it. So you can do that as well if you want that look. So it's just based on if you use the caps lock feature or not, but I like doing the lowercase because this is the look I like the best. So real quick, I'll walk you through how you are going to do this. So we're going to ungroup it first, and then we're going to slice these apart. So contouring is not available on this, which would be amazing, but it's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our shapes box, grab a square, and then what we're going to do is we are going to work one by one. Now you can only slice 2 layers at a time, so we are going to slice the B's first, and the ones we want to keep are the one on the left. So I'm going to grab it and cover what I do not want to keep, and I'm going to select, and I'm going to say slice. So now I can delete all of these, and I'm left with the one I want on here. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to grab this, and I'll actually duplicate this a couple more times because I will need a couple more for this one as well. So on this one, I have to do the side ones separately. So the one I want to keep is in the middle. So again, I'm covering what I don't want to keep, and I will select both, click slice down here in the bottom of the layers panel, and then I'll go ahead and delete the slice result. Again, doing the same on the other side right here, covering what I do not want, selecting both, slicing away. So it's super easy. Once you have made your monogram, just save it, and then you can do it for anything you'd like. You can make a shirt out of it, you can resize it, make a coffee mug, you can resize it, make a hat. So once you have your monogram, you have your monogram. Okay, last one is just like this, slicing after we select everything, and we're left with that final R on the end. So on this one, what's really helpful is if you get them kind of as close as you can, then what you can do is you can come up to a line, and you can say distribute horizontally, and that will make sure that they are, you know, even in between each one. Then you can also say, let's see, center vertically. There we go. And then everything will be all centered. Again, you'll come down and you will say attach, and it will be all ready to go. So now once you've attached all of these, once you go to click make it, they are all going to be placed, I'll just say Smart Material, they're all going to be placed together in the order that you made them. So it'll be all good. Oops, this one went on the green mat. But that's why you want to attach them, just so that you have them cut exactly how you want them. So that's 5 different fonts that make really good I think, choices for making a monogram. Let me know if you have any other font ideas that you really like in the comments below. I love monogramming, as you know, so I always love learning about other new fonts. So let me know if you have a favorite as well. So for this, I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I think I'm going to do this first one with the library. So what I'm going to do is, since I have all my monograms made, I'm just going to hide the ones that I don't want to use for this particular project. So let's see, I'm using this one, which is called Library 2. So I'm just going to hide this, and that way I can just save this. I'll just save my project, and I can just label it Monograms. That way I can just come in, I have all my monogram choices readily available, and then I can just click which one I want to do. So now I'm just going to size it for my my little tumbler, and we'll get to cutting it out. Okay, so I want to stay at 2 inches for my height, so I'm just going to size this down to 2 inches in height over here. 1.985 looks just about right. And what I can do is, I'm using my Joy, so that's already selected, and I will go ahead and click Make It. Okay, I am going to do without a mat because I have a smaller piece, but it is big enough to feed itself without the mat. So I'm going to click on the mat, or without the mat, and then select Done. I have it all set up here, and then it's going to allow me to select my material. I'm going to select SmartVinyl Permanent, and we'll go ahead and load our vinyl and get cutting. Okay, so I have a little piece of smart material that I can use here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to auto load that right here, and I can go ahead and select Go on my device, and it will get cutting. Okay, and while that is cutting, what I'm going to do is take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and I'm just going to clean the surface of my little cup here. That way it is all ready to go. It's free from any dirt or oils that would prevent the vinyl from laying down really nice. So I'm just going to do the whole thing just so that I know that all of it is clean and I can place my little monogram anywhere I would like. That looks really good. Okay, so we'll let that dry for just a second, and this is all done, so I'll zoom in and we'll get this weeded and placed on our cup. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my little piece from my Joy here that's already cut, and I'm just going to cut off my extra vinyl. That way I have any scraps that I have saved. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take my little weeding tool and get it all weeded. Now, the back cutting mat is the same color as the white vinyl, so unfortunately you can't really see too much in this step, but you will be able to see it in the next step. So sorry about that, but I really wanted to do a nice white vinyl on this because I think it will really contrast well on this cup, because this cup is super colorful with lots of different colors, and I think the white will just really look polished. So now what I'm going to do is grab my little Cricut Joy transfer tape. I actually really like the Joy transfer tape. I did not love the Cricut transfer tape when I was first starting out, so I was hesitant, but I tried the Cricut Joy transfer tape, and I think it works really good with the smart materials. So that's just my opinion, but with the smart materials, I like the smart transfer tape. Okay, so now I'm just going to place it right on here. I'm going to use my scraper tool and scrape that down really well. Okay, and then I'm just going to turn it over and do the same thing on the back. Now with it still turned over, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use my weeding tool. I find that with the smart material, I usually need to use my weeding tool just to kind of help nudge along some of the vinyl. But once it gets going, and once you give it a little nudge, it's very easy. Okay. Now the last thing I'm going to do is, I am going to place little tiny cut lines in my transfer tape, being careful not to actually cut my vinyl, but this helps when placing flat transfer tape and flat designs on a curved surface. It just allows the transfer tape to be a little bit more flexible. So I'm going to do that. It allows the transfer tape to just take on the shape of the cup and not want to lay so flat. So there is a seam in here, so I don't want to use the seam part, but I put rubbing alcohol on the front. That way it's all clean. And then I'm just going to go ahead and lay this where I'd like it. Okay. That looks really good. Okay, so I'm just going to start in the middle with my finger here. And make sure I have a little bit of a seam in my D here, but I'm going to just go towards the edge with my finger first. Looks good. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to grab my scraper tool and really scrape down. Okay, let's see if I can get this little seam out of my D. Okay. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Now, because we did the little cut lines in the transfer tape, it may come off in little tiny chunks, and that's okay because it's really worth it that you do the little cut lines to get everything to lay down right. So, and it's really easy to remove it regardless, but just know that that is normal since you already placed little cut lines in there. Okay, I'm going to grab from this side, just peel these off. I think that vinyl color really looks good on this background too. I think it just really pops and looks super nice. So I hope you guys like that. I have a little bit of a seam here that I'm just going to try to fidget with my nail and get that all perfect. But I think it looks really good. What do you guys think? I think it's super fun. And then it has a little lid on the top too. So super, super, super sweet. I love it. I think it'll be fun for just a little fun little drink in the summer. And of course, it's Monogram, so I'm definitely in love with it. So let me know again if you have any other ideas for fonts that you like for monograms. I love hearing about them. And be sure to let me know what you think of this little cup in the comments. Be sure you're subscribed. We have a lot of fun things coming up with all of the machines, and I'm excited to share some more tutorials with you guys. So be sure that you guys are all subscribed and ready to go. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next video.